If you feel like you can't be trusted around certain foods, like you have no off switch, then this episode is for you. Listen on to discover how you're more powerful than you think and how creating food boundaries can actually help you feel that sense of control so you actually get to eat what you truly want and feel good in your clothes. Hi, so welcome to Joyful Eating, episode 226. And this week we're talking about the unexpected power of food boundaries. Before we get to that, the best bite I had, so on the weekend, I hadn't made these in ages. And actually, we had some friends stay and they're super into the ice cream, right? So am I. And so I was just asked for requests on ice cream flavors, and Sophia had requested some maple pecan ice cream, and I was like, amazing. So I made this vanilla base, and then I did these maple pecans, which I got from actually one of my friends, Alex Stewart, who has wrote a book called Low Tox Life. And in that, she has these maple pecans. And so you just roast pecans with, toss them in maple syrup and some melted butter, and then roast them until they're crispy and you get this beautiful coating on the outside. So that, like with the pecan flavor, and then I just made a vanilla ice cream base and we had them sprinkled on top. It was so good. And I actually have saved them. I'm planning to use them in some savory meals as well, because I think that unexpected sweetness will be really beautiful too. It'll be a really nice flavor bomb. Okay, enough about the maple pecans. So, this plan for today is first, I'll share the story behind this episode, and then we're going to talk about why boundaries work and also how you can use them to your advantage. And we'll talk about some sneaky mistakes that people make with food boundaries, so which you may have made in the past. And then we'll finish it up with one tiny step so you can start experimenting yourself with boundaries. So, the story behind this episode, basically, quite a few months ago, is coaching one of my clients who has has a history of she's had a lot of dietary things that she's needed to deal with over the life. So initially, it was gluten was a problem for her, so she has been eating gluten free for a long time, and then more recently, she's discovered that she's hypoglycemic, so it means that her body, actually, no, I can't remember exactly what the technical diagnosis is, but yeah, she finds that dairy has a massive impact on her blood sugar. So she's like recently started to started to stop eating dairy. And so I was coaching her, and she was talking about how she was really struggling with chocolate and having too much having sugar. And she was like, everything else I'm completely fine with, but she's just the sugar, I'll just the chocolate, I'll just get this milk chocolate and just eat, and it's then causes problems with blood sugar and blah blah blah. And I was just reflecting back to her how, okay, interesting that you can do this with wheat and gluten, not a problem. You can have some boundaries around dairy, and that's not a problem. But this chocolate, it's this wiggle room. And so I just thought when we were shining a light on that, we just thought, let's just do an experiment, and see like what would happen if you actually had a boundary around chocolate. And we had a discussion around how actually those boundaries that she has around gluten and dairy are actually really supportive. They just make her life so much easier, and how she enjoys having those boundaries in her life. And so we just said, look, what would happen if you did a similar experiment of having a boundary around milk chocolate? And so if you want to have chocolate, it's going to be dark. And she was like, yeah, let's try. And it really has made a huge difference for her. And so that's got that actually, I'm often thinking about boundaries. So there's always examples of that. But I recently have been experimenting after that success. I was been experimenting on myself. So those of you that know me know that I have, like, one of my bad habits is cream. I love having cream in my tea. But the thing is, like, which is fine if you're only having, like, a few tablespoons of cream, but the quantities that I can put away, it's not great. And so, and it doesn't feel that great in the moment. And a lot of it I don't even really enjoy. And so I was, okay, I'm going to do it. And actually, I had used a continuous glucose monitor last year, and I identified that what I was having was not great for my blood sugar. So I decided to experiment with having more recently with having a boundary with myself around having milky tea, and that during the day I would just have black tea, and I've been really getting into green teas, amazing. And then, but after dinner, if I wanted to have creamy milky tea, that would be fine. And since I've implemented that boundary, it's funny. I hardly even think about having cream in my tea anymore during the day. It's like it's just not something that I do. And then also the cream that I am having at nighttime, like I'm really enjoying that. I've got this vanilla tea that's really beautiful. Sometimes I have this honey and rooibos tea with the cream, and it's really enjoyable. It's really delicious. And having that boundary, because I'm not having it multiple times during the day, means that I'm not having too much of it. And it's really, yeah, it feels really good to do that. It feels like I'm taking care of myself, I'm giving myself what I want, and also I'm not like, going overboard on it. And actually, I was talking to someone this morning, and Naturally Healthy, I was coaching her, and she was noticing that she was like, in the mornings, she's going, like, she's having lots of snacks, would be going back for more and more snacks. But she noticed that she had a boundary with herself after dinner where she would be like, she would just check in with herself. If she had the urge to have an after dinner snack, she'd be like, hang on, do I really need it? And then if she did, she had some boundaries around that. She would just go and have a couple of nuts rather than it being bowls of ice cream and chocolate and keeping going and going. And could see that boundary that she had for dinner time, like after dinner snacks, was really working for her. Like it really supported her, and it was a way to take care of herself. And so we, suggested that maybe we might want to have some boundaries around the morning time snacks as well. So lots of examples there of where we can use boundaries. And why boundaries are helpful is, first of all, because it's really simple. Like when you have those general guidelines or general rules, if you like, essentially for yourself, you decide them once and then set and forget. It's like you're not having to, I'm not thinking every day, oh, should I have cream in my tea now? Should I not? Like, it's just like, no, is it before, if it is it after dinner? No, okay, I don't, and I'm not even thinking about it. So it really, like, it simplifies your life to have boundaries. And it also reduces a lot of mind drama and a lot of decision fatigue, because you've kind of decided once, okay, this is my experiment I'm doing for now. I'll review and I can change my mind at any time. But so it's simple. It helps you just make one decision and then you're good. And the other cool thing with boundaries is that when we're setting boundaries, you're thinking about the future, right? And whenever we're thinking about the future, we have to use the prefrontal cortex, part of our brain that's the most evolved. And the cool part about that part of our brain is that it's able to weigh up the future it can think about the future, so it understands time, and it can weigh up the future consequences of our action. So it can be like, oh yeah, if I'm always going back for snacks after dinner, that doesn't feel good. I go to bed with a feeling bloated and it impacts my sleep. And so that part of the brain is really good at making decisions that are both good for now, but they're good for they good for us in the long term. Whereas the other part, if we're making more decisions more in the moment, particularly when we're tired, then we tend to use a more primitive part of our brain called the amygdala, and it doesn't understand about future consequences. All it thinks about is seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. So by having boundaries in place, we're using the best part of our brain to make decisions rather than using the more primitive part of our brain. So we tend to make better decisions that are good for the long term. And so boundaries help us find this balance between restriction and permission. So yeah, when we have a boundary on something, it's like, yeah, cool, I'm still going to have cream in my tea. I'm not restricting and denying myself. And also I'm not being too permissive where it's like I'm just having cream willy-nilly all day, swigging it out of the jar, like, and because you can add up to like quite a lot of extra calories. So having the boundary helps you find this sweet spot where you're taking care of yourself. Yes, you're enjoying what you're having. Yes, you're letting yourself have the things that you love, but you're not having too much of them. Or you're not having them too frequently, so that it doesn't become a problem from a weight perspective and a health perspective. So that's why I'm such a huge fan, because it makes life so much easier, and we like it helps us take care of ourselves, and it builds that self-trust as well. Like when you decide something and you set a boundary around it, it's like it's a really beautiful way to have that good relationship with yourself. This is what we want. This is how we're taking care of ourselves. So it's so good on so many levels. But of course, like any tool, there can be mistakes that we make. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make with boundaries is, what happens if you violate the boundary? So that's a bit of a bit of a strong word there. I don't, but like say you say I've got my cream example. What happens if I just decide, no, I'm just screw that. I'm just going to have at breakfast, I'm going to have cream in my tea. So I can either, so the mistake people make is when you do, violate your boundary, go against your boundary, it's like what you make it mean when you do that. So I could make it mean I can't be trusted. This isn't working. This is too hard, whatever. Or I can make it mean, okay, like this, like I could just bring a curious mind to it and go, and I could be like, okay, and just see how did it feel when I had, and use it as like, you know, not, yeah, use it as evidence, like use it as part of the experiment. It's like, okay, so I just did this where I didn't stick to the boundary. How did that feel? And maybe it felt fine. Like, I don't know, but maybe it also actually, let's say with this example, the cream at breakfast time, actually, it didn't feel that great. I didn't really need to be having it then. It wasn't something that I actually enjoyed. So then I can go, okay, yeah, that's good information to know. Then I like, and I can use that as actually that boundary that I have for myself is actually good. Like, let's stick with the cream at nighttime boundary. So that's how we overcome that mistake of when we do have violations against the boundary. It's like using that as an opportunity to review, and not using it as an opportunity to beat yourself up or be mean to yourself or think that you're a failure and you can't trust yourself, right? So we just use it as, oh, this is good information. Great. And then another mistake that people make with boundaries, I think, is not setting the boundary from the place of desire. So doing it more from oh, I should do this. So, and when we make choices and boundaries from that place of, oh, I should be doing this, like this is something that I should be doing, and it's not really what we want, then that makes it really hard to stick to, right? Because it's not coming from, we're not being internally motivated. So just when, and the way to know about that if you have done that, it's just like, just check in with yourself. If actually, do we really want this? And if you like, yeah, absolutely, yeah, I do want to just have cream at dinner time, after dinner, great, like then keep going. But if you check in with yourself, like, do we really want this? And you're like, no, actually that feels like not fun, then you can change the boundary at any time. And I think another mistake people make is thinking that the boundary needs to be in place forever, right? So it's like, okay, I have to decide this once and then I'm never going to change it. I am always experimenting with these things, and I'm adjusting. And even we just had school holidays here, so the schedule was different, of course, because the boys are home, and I'm always adjusting and changing things based on the circumstances. So actually expecting it to be fluid, expecting to be always refining and experimenting and playing around with it, and seeing that as fun. Like, I actually really love like just doing these little experiments with myself. It's a really great way to build self-trust and just and learn from what works with you. And then also that helps you as your life circumstances change, it helps you adjust. So having that experimental mindset is really helpful. Okay, so boundaries. So to wrap this up, tiny step that I really encourage you to take from this is just think about, is there an area that you already have a boundary around? And you want to just give yourself some credit for, oh, actually, I already have a boundary. I don't wake up in the morning and have a bowl of ice cream straight, first thing in the morning, or whatever it is. Just think about where you already have some boundaries that are working for you, or it might be a boundary around alcohol, or might be about chocolate or whatever. And just recognize that and actually celebrate yourself. Actually, I'm a badass. I already have some boundaries in place. And then the other tiny step, if you're up for it, is just think about one area where you're like, oh, I've got this behavior that isn't super enjoyable. It's not super, like, there's some bits about it that I don't feel good about. And it may be, after dinner snacking. It may be you're having cream in your tea as well. It may be, maybe it's around chocolate. It doesn't matter what it is, but the more specific you can be, the better. And just, if it's something that doesn't feel good, just think about what would be a little boundary that you could experiment with, and just try that for the next week, the next couple of days, and see how it feels. And you can always, you might just decide, yep, this feels really good. I'm going to keep going with this boundary, or you might decide no. And then, either way, you're going to learn something about yourself, and it's going to feel good to be taking care of yourself in that way. Okay, have a fantastic week. And if you'd like some help becoming someone who has amazing healthy food boundaries, so you get to be this person who eats what they want and not too much of it, so you lose weight sustainably, then come and play with us in the Naturally Healthy Club. So we enroll twice a year, and the best way to learn more is to get on the waiting list. So either check out the link in the show notes, or if you Google Stone Soup, and you'll come to my blog and just go to the Work With Me tab, and you'll see the Naturally Healthy Club there, and you can get more details and get on the wait list there. Okay, have a beautiful week playing around with your boundaries and experimenting, and I'll catch you next week.